Okay, so this question is for Uncooked Noodles. Here is what he or they wrote. No, but really, how? How does one set out a plan and design this? I struggle to make anything that's not a flat foundations with machines on top or buildings that are basic and boxy. I just built my first decent looking blueprint tonight, so maybe I'll watch a few more times to get some inspiration, but this is just ridiculous. Good job, Pioneer. Now back to work. All right, will do. Yeah, so I kind of break down. The first step I usually do is I ask myself, do I want function to follow form or form to follow function? Because that's going to inform a lot of decisions later on. In this case, its function follows the form because I wanted to do this sort of bifurcated factory that was sort of inspired by that insane project in Saudi Arabia where they're trying to make this, it's called the line, that's going to basically go across the desert, and I will eat my shoe if it ever gets built, but that's another thing. But I just thought it was kind of an interesting image and something to try to make. So everything here followed that one requirement. It all had to fit into these two buildings. There had to be reactors in both. So the first part I actually built was this guy down here. This is the final. So what I did was basically I ignored the entire fact that there was going to be plutonium fuel rods eventually. I literally just focused on the first 50 uranium, the requirements for the first 50 uranium fuel rods. So that's basically what this is. I built the last machines first, the last ones in the chain, and that's the manufacturers here that make the actual fuel rods. And I worked back from there. I said, okay, I have X amount of uranium. And so ideally, with a little bit of wiggle room, how many fuel rods can I actually make? And how many reactors could those actually power? So I'm around one. You can see there's a little bit of additional. That's my, just in case something goes wrong, because it should just be, if everything works perfectly, one should be the number. But I have a little bit extra there. That being said, everything's not optimized yet, so it's technically not true, but it will be true. Yeah, it's a big operation. I've just basically gotten it now where it'll run forever, but it's not optimal yet. So I'm guessing by the time it's all done, it'll be like 250 gigawatts or something. But anyway, so and then from here, there's 4 ingredients you need, right? So you need the control rods, the pellets, rotors, and oscillators. So I said, okay, well, since I wanted to go from both sides, let's split it. Let's do 2 of those components on the left and 2 on the right. So over on this side, just go back in and out, yes. We're making the control rods and the rotors. And on the other side, we're making the crystal oscillators and the other component, the pellets. I made the pellets on this side because the uranium deposit is basically right past that wall up on a cliff. And mind you, I did some calculations ahead of time. I don't really use like the calculators and all that stuff. I kind of feel like I want to use the tools at hand. And if you're always constantly kind of running back and forth between Satisfactory and another application, I feel like it just kind of gets annoying and it breaks my immersion and it breaks my flow. So, but I mean, your mileage may vary with that, whatever, to each his own, whatever the expression is. But I'm actually running down here now because I can show you, this was the one that I built first. I built this side first with the middle. So you were talking about blueprints. This is all blueprints, except for the walls, basically. So if I go into blueprint mode, you can see, right? All blueprints. And when you look at something like this is a copper sheet left, 3 by 5, right? So that means the amount of squares of foundation it is, and 6 up means it's 6 machines. So when you look at all the blueprints for this, you can see that I essentially, for all the different production needs, I made a different blueprint. And they're all made from like templates that I made first. So you can see here production machines, where is it? Yeah, so these were the templates, like 2 by 5 by 6, 2 by 5 with 4 assemblers, and then I customized them with the signage and the type of thing they're going to manufacture, like iron wire or motors or iron rods, because I knew I was going to need a bunch of these, and I'm also going to use all these blueprints later on in my Gigafactory, or my Terrafactory rather. So it was kind of time well spent. So basically, yeah, so it's a modular design. So after I put all these in there, then it was all a matter of just going down below, because all the connections are down here. And each blueprint has signage down here for what needs to go into where. So that sign right there, that's part of the blueprint telling me, okay, I need to connect copper sheet. Well, on this blueprint over here, I put a sign on the output saying, hey, I'm making copper sheet. And if you look up on the signage for the blueprint itself, I know how many are being made. So 16 per machine, 96 total. Oh, sorry, but that's how much the ingots are. And it's making 48 copper sheet, 8 per machine. Some of these are not totally accurate yet anymore because I had to tune, right? My math was off in places. But that's the general idea. The exception to the... Oh, yeah, so if you go down to... if we go over to the actual reactors, I'm not going to go that way because there's an elevator. It would just take longer, which is one of the things I want to fix. Lots of things to fix here. This is not finished by a long shot. There's a lot of like wonky things happening. So this is 5 different blueprints, if I remember correctly. So there's the blueprint for the facade. There's the blueprint for the base, which has the water unpackagers. Then there's a blueprint for the back. And then if you go downstairs, there's blueprints for the unpackagers, or the packagers rather. And then there's another blueprint for the waste disposal column. This is the one that basically takes all the nuclear waste back and puts it into, creates plutonium pellets out of it. So then basically what happens is all I had to do was put down this blueprint, that blueprint, and the one above, that one there, connect all the vertical conveyors, and then add a little bit of a column width here. This is actually also another blueprint. I really am a fan of blueprints. So yeah, that sort of makes it manageable. Also, what that does is it makes the bugs in the system drastically fewer. Because if they're all identical, as long as you're updating the blueprint and fixing it as you go and, you know, iterating on it, you will find 99% of the bugs. Because now, the only things you have to do is you have to connect the waste output, the uranium rod input, and the belts with canisters and filled canisters on them. By the way, this blueprint also included the canisters in the inputs of the packagers. And that is one of those things that was a little tricky to figure out because I had originally just put in 100, and that was not enough. You can also hear every once in a while, because I have the audio for all the factory effects cranked up because it's very useful to know. Sometimes you'll hear a packager kind of make this fart. It'll go, and that means it's not running correctly. So there are a couple of places that happens still, but I haven't bothered really to look into it because I have bigger fish to fry. Like this literally just all kind of got finished very recently. But that's kind of it. I mean, I knew just from past experience and laying out, I kind of roughly knew that I was going to have 5 concrete foundations for each basically self-contained reactor assembly. And then that was going to be connected to a main grid. Yep, you hear that? That means that one of these is not working optimally. But that's for another video. But yeah, so I mean, I knew I had pretty good extra space. Like you can see down here, if I had needed to build something else, and at some places I actually did, I had all this empty space here where I could put something else in theory. So that was sort of like my safety, like, I don't know. Like if you look back here, this is basically all empty space, right? And so you can see I gave myself a lot of room to grow in case I messed up. But if we go down to the water section, you'll see that was the one thing that almost tripped me up, because I was originally going to use, it basically runs right here. I was originally going to use this water here. That would never have worked because a lot of it's shallow. There's just not enough water that I can hide in each one of the lines. So I ended up doing it over here. But if you see that kind of arch that comes out of there, yeah, that's the end of the world. And you walk past it, you die. And I literally have pumps like going right to the edge of that. So I'll show you that here real quick. By the way, also another kind of design philosophy that really informs a lot of the look of my factories is, my internal rule is that you have to be able to walk the factory without a rocket pack and without a hover pack and be able to get to everything and basically work the factory. That kind of keeps the factory looking grounded to me. You know, you're not, while you'll see me flying everywhere, that's fine, but that's, you know, that's just because I'm doing the video. I really like to walk the factory. As you can see, this is clearly not done yet. But yeah, so that's sort of like, that's why you see a lot of walkways in my builds. You see here too, I haven't finished. Here's the same column, right? The same column blueprint. I haven't really figured out what to do here yet. I think we're going to do some kind of cross bracing here. But you can see this is one of those areas where I had to run other things underneath the reactors because just I had to. This is another screw up of mine. I didn't expect to have to make these, what is this? Yeah, the aluminum scrap. I thought I could ship it in from outside, but I quickly realized, first of all, there wasn't enough. And if I did that and forgot that I did that sometime in the future, I could starve this place of aluminum, which would basically shut it down and make it very difficult for me to, you know, get everything started again. So I quickly said, all right, let me find some bauxite and I'll just run it. But here's all the water, and you can see once you get the pipes in here and the pumps, despite this being fairly wide, it takes up a lot of space. It just made it. You can see, look, even like the back of the pumps kind of stick out. And again, I thought I'd have plenty of room. But as I was sort of laying it out initially, I'm like, all right, that's fine, you know, whatever. It'll be fine. But yeah, I quickly realized that it was just going to fit. And so these are all the uranium. These are all the uranium. You can see the corresponding number to the corresponding uranium reactor that they're feeding. That ended right here. And then I was like, okay, well now I got to do something for plutonium. I added plutonium. There was 30 reactors. So you have 30 sets here of pumps for those. I'm like, where did I put it? So I ended up actually just kind of making another level. I was going to kind of stack it on top of these, but it would have been a nightmare to diagnose issues, and it would have looked pretty bad. So I kind of made this crossbar here. And oh, by the way, this is all blueprints as well. Like here's the blueprint. So it's the crossbars, it's the pumps, and then they auto connect to the next blueprint, to the next blueprint, to the next blueprint. If you aren't using blueprints, I don't know what to tell you. it is a lifesaver, and it has fundamentally changed this game from the years prior. Um, at some point, I'll probably go over older builds that I've done that are basically hand built everywhere. I don't recommend it. I really don't, for many, many reasons. I'm so glad they added blueprints. They resisted it for a very long time, much to the game's detriment. But that's just my feeling on it. Okay, so here we are making this is the the end of the other line. Essentially, they're very similar. You have in the front, way up there, past that door, you have the little mini factories to make the components, the other two components for the uranium fuel rods, and then they're followed by the pumps for this size uranium reactors. You can see, this is all the guts and all the plumbing for everything running down below. That's kind of another story. You can see that I kind of cheat a little bit because I find it more readable in some ways and just cleaner. You can see I do have pipe pumps. I have belts kind of merging into each other. I kind of wish it would make a piece like this that would just sort of look like a splitter that would just kind of hide it. I have played around with having one on here, but when you're looking around after, not looking at this stuff for a year, it can be really confusing. Like, why is there a splitter there? What is it doing? Is it doing anything? What's going on? And then you're hesitant to take it off because you don't want to break stuff. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Yeah, when you're designing something this big, let me see if I can find, I actually went back here to show, I did have like a little kind of workshop space. This is not done yet, obviously. There's a lot of wonky stuff. I think it's down here somewhere. Where are you? Yeah, I mean, I basically had like a kind of a running tally of everything that I'd need. And that was literally just a starting point because what I did was to sort of figure out where all the bugs were, I would let it run overnight, see how the power plant failed. Inevitably it was a lack of resources somewhere, something not being built in high enough volume, something that I had disconnected by accident, that kind of thing. But initially I just went by my initial calculations, which I don't know where are. I literally had signs up for them somewhere. Well, you'll have to take my word for it, but a lot of people use the calculators and all that stuff, and I totally understand that. I did try to use them before. I don't know. I kind of like building everything and then having to bug fix it, because to me that's fun. That's sort of part of the game. If you're building everything and it, works right off the bat, then all right, that's fine. Then you're just basically plopping down buildables like in a city sim or something, So I don't mind it. And there were a lot of little bugs that I had to fix. Like for some reason, this pipe here I had to reconnect multiple times because there was a bug in it where it wouldn't actually connect to this blueprint that underneath. There's like little things like that, idiosyncrasies. Had a lot of bug fixes on the... Oh, there's that sound again. Yep, you see how it spilled out right there? That means that this one has some kind of an issue. And judging from the amount of packaged water in it, that's probably the problem. It's not getting enough fast enough. So let's look down below. Either that or the pipe's full here for some reason. Yeah. Again, I might just go through and do this. It should be fine. I might go through and make a video about tuning all this stuff at some point. But man, that would be a long video. Currently I'm working on transportation in this because, as you can see, it's large and it takes a long time to get around places. But yeah, so I mean, buildings in a nutshell, form or function. Like if you've already built a factory, that's going to be function over form, right? That's what you're talking about, like your factories are a box. You can do a lot with those as well. I don't have real good examples here. Actually, let me see if I can find something. I think I do. There's one thing I can think of that might help you. I did a build which was all modular factories, and I did a couple of them where it was form over function, like to the extreme. And there's one factory that comes to mind. Let me see if I can find that. I think it's, yeah, I used to do a Patreon build a long time ago. Let's see. I think it's gonna be, this might take a little while to load. And depending where I am, I might have to travel a little bit. Sorry about that. I'm really trying to make these videos just kind of in one shot, so apologies. I know it's not super cool to like not edit these, but I just want to get the information out there. Oh, by the way, this is a mod that I use sometimes if I need to find stuff. Let me turn that off. By the way, I do use mods. I don't use them to like circumvent systems in the game so much. I use them to increase quality of life. Like I use one called Infinite Nudge, which is amazing for builders if you're trying to decorate and stuff. It's way better than the nudge that comes in the comes with the game. All right, I think I know where I am. I think I know where I am. Yeah. All right, we gotta catch a ride up here. Yeah. Okay. It's right next to the space elevator. Let's see if I can find an entrance to this. If not, I'll just make one. Yeah, I'll just make one. Screw it. Actually, I don't know if I have parts. Do I? I don't. All right. We'll have to find the entrance then. Yeah. So this was a community build. This was a gentleman named Mate Monk made this here, who is a friend of mine now. We hung out a lot. Oops. Oh, that was a bug. I guess it didn't connect correctly. So let me know if like this kind of long format is okay for you guys. Like you know, I'm not expecting this to go anywhere. I really enjoy talking about this, and I really enjoy sharing the information with folks because yeah, this is my hobby. This has become my passion very much. So yeah, this was back when the Ukraine war started. So we made a memorial to Ukraine. That's why the colors are what they are. What else? We did a lot on this. This is definitely a group effort. I have no idea what state this is in. But yeah, so over there, this was made from one of our creators. He kind of took all care of all that stuff down there. And there we go. You see that kind of greenish building there? So I kind of made it like this cubist kind of a building. And my goal was to make it as small, as compact as possible. Like usually I have a reason to build it in the way that I do. And it usually comes down to just kind of wanted to challenge myself and force it to look different than other things. So that's what this guy was. This was definitely form following function because I think that makes reinforced frames, and each one of those squares is a different subcomponent of that build. So I'm gonna walk you through that. So essentially, this whole thing was naked. Let's walk inside. Yeah, it is. There's few cubist frames. Yeah, trees back because I guess we got an update between when I built it and this. So you can see it's incredibly dense. But you know, in building this, it wasn't anything like this. Like this level here was just the machines and the conveyors and the power. And then I basically built the walls around as close as I could. And after kind of doing that, I said, all right, well, my rule is you got to be able to walk the factory. So now I got to figure out how the heck to get walkways in here. And you can see in some places it is about as snug as you can get. And you can also see here, at the time, we didn't have the conveyor conveyor floor holes. So I just had to go do them through the floor. I would eventually add them here, I guess. But not right now because it seems to be bugging out a little bit. Yeah, so each level makes its own subcomponent. Like this one makes concrete. And I color coded each one just because I thought that was kind of interesting. I think I found some like cubist buildings that inspired me at the time. I don't remember what they were. But yeah, so that's kind of like the fun for it for me. Kind of taking and saying, hey, let's make something that looks kind of wonky and cubist and take it from there. But this is definitely an example of that form following the function to an extreme. That was super fun to do too. I don't know if I have other ones here that are similar. Also, generally, like early on in my early coal power plants, I tended to like doing very open ones because I remember driving past. We have a power plant here in my town, and it's just very open. Like you can see everything. There's a lot of like steel structure around it and all this kind of stuff, and it just looks really functional. So that's kind of the other extreme, and I think that's what I did for this guy. Yeah. I don't know where this is taking me. Hopefully, I can get off soon. Okay, good. Yeah, so I made this little coal power plant. This is the first one to sort of power the initial. And you can see it's all pretty open. Like the only thing that's closed in is this is a battery backup, right? I use this as a battery backup. So this is like if everything goes wrong, I can turn on the burners to power the water pumps and get everything rolling again. But you can see this is all very open. But again, my rule is that you have to be able to walk the factory. But you can see here, because I kind of make my catwalks afterwards, you kind of get into these kind of issues. That is also one reason that I use a couple of mods that have some catwalk pieces that otherwise, I wouldn't have access to, like shorter stairs and some other things. But yeah, so this is very open. I think there was something going to be built here at some point. Oh, well, there you go. Gotta love it. I guess that's going to be the end of the video. I hope that helped you a little bit. I know I kind of rambled at the end there. But yeah, so if you have any questions, hit me back and talk to you later, I guess.